Hi, Amy.
Hi, B.
We just watched 90 Day Fiancé The Other Way, Season 7, Episode 22, also known as the Tell-All Part 2, and also known as the finale of this season.
Yay!
I know, we made it. We made it. Feels like a marathon.
It was
Were
a
you
long
happier with
time.
this episode this week, or was last week's better?
I think this one was better. I think there was a lot more. I don't want to use the word juicy, but there's just so much tea in this one.
It was T-E.
Both snorted.
Okay, let's get into it. First,
Okay.
1 and 2. 1, rate, review, and follow us wherever you listen to the podcast. 2, watch our podcast on YouTube at 90 Day Fiancé. Honestly, let us begin. Oh God,
Okay.
we still have to deal with Manon and Anthony. Oh Lord.
Okay, I was really irritated that we still had to deal with this. Just get off my screen. Like, I think Anthony is fine. We can keep him, but let's just get rid of Manon. Her constantly throwing divorce in his face and playing the victim. Like, I'm so sick of it.
Mm-hmm.
Your face says yes.
The throwing of the word divorce out often, as Anthony describes it, these threats, don't like that.
So
sounds
toxic.
It sounds like it's a very frequent kind of event. Yes, very toxic. And then he's at the point now where he's already thinking about his options, which means that he's mentally, emotionally distancing himself, cutting himself off, preparing to be an independent parent, which is a major step towards breaking up. But will she reel him back in again? Well, she does come back. Of course, she doesn't leave, which would have made me so happy. She comes back.
Well, no, she wants the screen time.
I know.
I can't get over the fact that she plays the victim so well. Just everything that he does is victimizing her.
Mm-hmm.
And she said at one point that it all blew up in her face. What, madame? What
I know.
blew up in your face? Your behavior, perhaps?
Well, I feel like it's pointless to even dive into her words because they all just point to the same thing, which is absolutely nothing, except her perception that Anthony is wrong and Anthony is to blame for everything, when we know from her behavior that she is in fact creating the problem. So I didn't really write much about her, except she can fuck all the way off. If she wants him to defend her, like she's constantly complaining Anthony has to stand up for her, he's never doing that, then her own behavior towards him needs to change because it is completely unacceptable, evil, abhorrent behavior. And I had to mention this. We have 2 people who reached out through Spotify this week complaining about Manon. One is Meg. She said, Manon is insufferable. I feel so bad for Anthony. I think we can all agree with that. And then Dawn piped in as well, and she said, I agree. I think this is 1,000,000%. I'm not sure how many zeros are there right now. I agree 1,000,000%. She is awful, borderline abusive, which I think is being quite generous. I would say she's all out abusive.
100% abusive.
Especially when it came to that point where she said, I let you have a voice to Anthony. Ugh. No.
That really, it almost seems reflective of the I only hit you because you did this. There's no excuse for it. You can't talk it away. None of your words are going to make your behavior excusable. You need to shut up. You need to leave. And Anthony and Benjamin are going to lead an absolutely phenomenal life without you. You're not a present parent. You're not a good human being. And you're also not entertaining to watch.
Do you want to talk about what happened during the break so that we can get Manon out of the way to move on to the other couples?
Yeah, let's do that, and then we won't talk about it again.
Okay, sounds good. So during the break, she continues to be herself, which is an utter cesspool of misery and depression, toxicity beyond belief. Blames Anthony for everything, as per usual. He's calm, he's reasonable, patient. And then she uses sex as a tool, a manipulation tool to try to bring him back to her, talking about how she wants to be naked next to him. Follows that up with a bunch of empty promises. I'll shut the fuck up and do my best to change. Sure, right. She just flips on a dime and she's all sweetness and everything for a change, which is acting and nothing more.
My only last note about her is that as soon as they got off stage and, everyone's doing their canoodling on the side, she's bitching to production. She's not engaging with the rest of the cast. It's like to production because no one wants to listen to her. No one wants to engage with her. And
No.
I really think that she knows that everyone is going to take Anthony's side, and she doesn't want to have to deal with that. I mean, she's so busy just like diminishing him and his character, even though she is the man that she not only chose to marry, but to have a child with. And from what we've seen, he's a phenomenal father. But again, none of that is a success for her because her success is purely monetary.
Yes.
Okay, I'm done.
So delightfully deep, isn't it? Let's discuss Luke and Madeleine. Madeleine.
Did she get more lip filler? Or did she just overline her lips?
Who cares? I think is the appropriate answer.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know. I didn't notice.
So irritating.
Her dog's having puppies. I wondered, is this because it's a new money-making venture for Madeleine that she's not spaying or neutering her dogs, trying
She's
to
also
sell the
very
cute little puppies? Yes, I think so.
I think they were adorable, and I loved seeing them. But at the same time, I don't think she's a responsible pet owner, and I don't think that she deserves to own pets.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it, Madeleine. Okay.
Honestly, just stop.
So the big news, Luke is back in the States. He's working. He needs to make money. They claim to still be together, which I doubt 99.9999%. I don't believe it. Did you buy it?
No. Sean said something, but I didn't write it down. That made me believe that they might actually be on The Last Resort. And my response was, oh my God, no, with 12 O's. I don't want to see them again. They have not been entertaining. They have not been engaging. They're not something that we ever need to see again. This is all just bullshit. Like, get off my screen. Especially because you can see him drooling over Chloe like the entire time.
Yeah. I wondered maybe Luke would go on to the single life next, and that might be interesting until I remembered that he groomed Madeleine from 17, and so he would be looking for these women who are ridiculously young to date. And I don't particularly want to watch that unfold.
Now, I feel like if he was on the single life, the first person that he would reach out to, actually, I did see this online. I don't think this is a spoiler, that he messaged Chloe.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, I saw that too.
I was going to say outside of the show, but obviously the message inside of the show. But yeah, like you could see him salivating over her, and it was just strange.
Yes. More stuff that we learned here. They say, and I'm putting this all in quotation marks because I don't believe it for a single minute. They say that she has her K-1 visa and she's about to come to the States. They have not officially married. They went through the ceremony, but then decided not to sign the paperwork so that they could, in fact, take advantage of the K-1 process as fiancés, which is like ass backwards. Why don't you just go and apply for a spousal visa if you want her to come to the States and go through with all of that wedding nonsense that you paid so much money for? Like, are they going to have to do it again?
With the helicopter.
So stupid. And then there's the nonsense about the wedding ring getting lost and then her taking his to make new ones, but she hasn't. And maybe she's lost that too. There's much confusion over when Brian comes on to the show and starts talking about him and Luke having lost $2.1 million between the two of them and him owing Luke over $150,000, which Madeleine is incandescently enraged about.
What an excellent word.
Did he lose the property? Does he still have that? It sounds like not.
I mean, they didn't bring it up, but I think it makes sense that they couldn't keep up with the payments to continue to own the property. Though, if they did lose the property, I mean, maybe this is why she didn't really say much during the whole conversation about the property because her name wasn't on it. So she didn't lose anything. So she was almost like, probably for the best. I didn't put my name on it. But look, it was just so strange. And I wonder if he and Brian were in cahoots the whole time about, let's pretend we're putting our money into this. So she thinks that there's some sort of investment that she can profit from. And then we'll pretend to lose the money, but we'll still have the money because she's such a gold digging, useless human being. But then I also think Luke's not smart enough to pull that off.
Yeah, that would be far-fetched, but an interesting idea, especially in light of the story that Brian told about being kidnapped and the robbery and all of that stuff, which really sounded quite fantastical. But Luke corroborated, said it was real. I was like, I really
mean,
don't know.
were you there? And also, how did he get out? He didn't explain the entire story. Typically, when you get kidnapped, there's like you're either murdered or there's a ransom. Like they don't just let you go. So why did they let you go?
Anyway, the thing that I noticed here when Madeleine was ranting and raving as per usual is that she has a whole lot of things in common with Manon. They use almost the same words to put their partners down. They both said, "Who are you?" when looking at their partners, as if they'd magically changed overnight and this was all their fault. And so what should Madeleine or Manon do about it? They're like, "Oh my God, you are a completely different person." They both threaten to leave very frequently. They both manipulate their partners. They both talk over their partners. Both of them focus on their pain, their misery, their feelings whenever there's even a hint of an issue that the guy is bringing up that in fact the woman has part responsibility for. They deflect and make it all about themselves. So I was noticing this parallel between the two of them and just thinking, well, they should be friends, those two creatures.
I honestly didn't notice that, but now that you bring it up, it's yep, yeah, I can see that. But I can also see them not being friends because they're both so incredibly stubborn that there would just be so much conflict. Neither one of them would be a good friend to each other. It would all
No.
be blaming, and I can't see them getting along.
No, it's like when you said that Manon has main character syndrome. You can't have two main characters as best friends. That doesn't work. They would clash, obviously. However, I just thought it was interesting to note that they're both employing the same tactics, the same behaviors, and in some cases, the same words to control their partners.
No, you're right. Definitely.
During the break, because Luke is now apparently single after he is pressured by Chloe to admit yes or no, is he single or is he still with Madeleine? Chloe, Greta, and Luke all agree to go out together, which to me is proof positive that in fact Luke and Madeleine aren't together and weren't together from the start of this show. Not the start of the series, but this particular episode and the one before it. Because why on earth would he go out with two women, one of whom Madeleine absolutely despises, Chloe, knowing that Madeleine is going to flip her lid and break off the relationship should he say to her, "Oh, I went out with these two women. We had some drinks after the show." I mean, that would be a sin even worse, possibly, than him having been invited to his own bachelor party where a stripper showed up.
I hadn't even thought about that, but yeah, definitely. That
So
makes so much more sense. Neither of them are wearing their wedding rings. There was that whole story about the wedding ring BS. Him IFing Chloe like the entire time they were
I had to
there.
stop. I was like, I effing, what is that? Letter
I
me? What? Eyeball effing. Okay, I got it.
I'm trying to be, somewhat non-crass,
Okay.
whatever that means, but it's just so transparent.
Mhm.
We can see through your BS and you're not together. The fact that neither one of you have your rings. So, whatever. Shut up. Get off my screen. I don't want to see
Mhm.
either one of you again. Although Luke does make one I think he makes one funny comment later on in the show. Either way, we'll get to it if it's in my notes.
Okay, fair enough. Would you like to read on to Pattiya and Dylan?
I mean, I don't, but yes, we must.
So, as we know from last week, Pattiya is no longer in Tasmania. She's, in fact, in Texas. And Dylan is coming to the United States. They're still engaged. She forgot to wear her ring, which is why it was not on her finger. They have a K1 visa and he's coming in a couple of weeks. Wow.
Who paid for that?
Joe did. Of course not.
But I wonder if she did she move back so that she can start repaying her debts? Probably not. She probably just got sick. I mean, the way that she spoke about Tasmania makes me believe that she just wanted to get out of there and just wasn't happy with the environment.
Well, I felt very strongly in this episode that the whole issue that Pattiya has, which she is identified as one person, one problem, and that's Joe, is all in her head. This is completely constructed by her, exaggerated for her own purposes. And it's almost like Pattiya needs a little bit of friction in her relationship, drama, to make it interesting enough for her. Is there such a thing as people who are addicted to this kind of altercation being a constant in their lives?
Absolutely. Without the friction, the instability is the comfort because they've only ever known instability. Stability is the discomfort for some people. But in my notes, I said in caps locks, his mom is not the issue. He is the issue.
Okay.
He needs to set the boundary with his mom. It's his relationship with her. So he is the middle person. He needs to decipher how to keep his mom happy, how to keep her happy, and also what keeps him happy. And I don't think that I think she said that they were talking upwards of 10 times a day, and Joe didn't refute that. So I wonder, how often does she call him? And she also said that Dylan drops everything to pick up his mom's calls. So how much does it actually interfere with their daily lives?
See, I heard very differently than you did. I heard both Dylan and his mom refuting virtually everything Pattiya was claiming that they did, like calling several times a day to the point where it was intrusive. And Dylan was saying, no, it's like once a day or maybe twice. And then Pattiya would say, you guys talk for 2 hours and this is unacceptable. And he would say, well, no, it's usually like 5 or 10 minutes. Sometimes it can be longer. And then he's willing to make the longer conversations with his mom be at times when Pattiya is working so that she's not upset by this. Great. But I felt that each time Pattiya was bringing up an issue, it's almost like she had to insist that this is the way it is. And yet these other two people are kind of blinking and looking at her going, what are you talking about? Like Pattiya insisting Joe doesn't want them to be together and hasn't wanted them to be together from the start. And Joe just looks completely perplexed and saying, look, no, I support you guys. I have from the beginning. Your age has nothing to do with it. It's just you guys you break up a lot and there's a lot of ups and downs in your relationship and that concerns me.
It's not stable. And, as we talk through this, it reminds me of one of the previous scenes in one of the other episodes where she said something to the effect of, he talks to her. She didn't say it was every day. It was like 3 to 4 times a week or something. And even that was too much for her. But now we're at 10 times a day.
Exactly.
It's just so blown out of proportion.
It's not reliable information because it changes based on how upset she is. When she's really trying to make a point, she exaggerates to the point where it becomes completely unbelievable. And we have that conflicting information from previous episode where she's talked about it, and it's not been 10 times a day. It was 3 or 4. Or, before it was 20 minutes, now it's 2 hours. What? I
It's
feel
just
very strongly like Pattiya is just obsessed with this issue, that she needs it, like I said before, to have this drama in her life. She's somehow addicted to it. And so it doesn't really matter. You could show her phone records that shows twice a day, 10 minutes each, and she would still insist that it was 5, 7 times that much.
no, you deleted it. You have a burner phone,
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
She just wants, I agree with you. I think she really just wants to create that drama and, to adhere to her narrative that his mom is interfering. And I also wonder if her concern about Dylan speaking to his mother so often, like, I think it makes her feel insecure because he's actually talking to her about issues or the issues in their relationship, and she's being very candid and honest about what she thinks about it, and it makes Pattiya, like, it really calls out her behavior, how awful her behavior has been towards him. And I'm not saying that he's been a saint, and I'm not saying that, he and his mom are I lost that thought.
They're having an inappropriate or crossing the boundaries relationship.
Yeah, and I think even that is not strange. Like, if I had to go to a gyno appointment and something happened, I would tell my mom.
Exactly.
Like, what's wrong with that? It's
Uh,
not
it-
like
well,
it's not like she's calling him every, day or whatever, asking about his bowel movements. Like, it seems as though she's just a very present parent.
Okay, so important to note, Joe fully supports Dylan moving to the US, which I think is indicative of the fact that she is a healthy mom who has a great relationship with her son, who isn't threatened by his moving to another country. And then when she's saying that, isn't it wonderful? Fully support you. Go have a good life in the States. Pattiya starts crying, and I thought, oh, fantastic. So maybe she's feeling some remorse now that she's realizing, oh, Joe is actually a good person, and she fully understands and wants us to be together. Are these tears of regret and recognition? No, she just feels sorry for herself.
There was one point where I think she asked the cast, one of them asked the cast, like, how often do you talk to your mom? And uh, a man said, well, my mom passed away. And then they showed Matthew. So I was like, oh my God, did his mom pass away between the last time or the last episode and this one, even though it occurred on the same day?
Let's move on to Jenny and Sumit, the relationship that keeps on giving, going,
Nothing.
gone. Yeah.
Sumit would rather live with his parents than have sex with his wife. And I think that is really indicative of their lives. Because you remember Jenny was saying they were having sex like 3 to 4 times a week or something. And then they
Mhm.
moved in with his parents and now they never have sex. And he would rather stay with his parents
Mhm.
than to have sex with his wife.
And she would rather stay in her bedroom all day long like a sullen teenager who doesn't want to have anything to do with their parents. It's an absurd situation.
Especially because of her age.
Yes.
Grow up. If you want to
It's
leave, leave.
it's weird that you're almost 70, you're not living on your own with your husband, you're living with his parents, and you're spending all of your time in your bedroom, not even doing stuff, exploring things, working at the cafe. Hello? Jenny's not working there anymore. Nobody's working there anymore except Sumit. That's
I found
crazy.
that just so incredible that he said that she doesn't like him working, and yet that's their main income other than her pension or whatever income she has. This was just like the mental gymnastics from
Mhm.
between the two of them was just so much. We know for a fact that Sumit wants to stay with his parents. She knows this. His parents know this, and it, it's quite obvious that if he leaves, like it's gonna be another one of those like you're exiled from the family. But I also found it interesting that the brother and sister-in-law moved out.
Mhm. Good for them.
I say the same thing. So why
Mhm.
can't Sumit do it? Because is he the youngest? Maybe he feels the most amount of dedication to his parents. But then Sumit's dad pipes up and he's like, "Oh no, you absolutely cannot leave. That would be like an aberration to the family."
Yeah. Again, we have a situation where nothing really adds up. We get conflicting information about the brother and his wife leaving and the reasons for leaving. And so, why can't Jenny and Sumit also leave for those same reasons? But apparently they can't. I don't get it. I don't really enjoy it. It's not an interesting storyline anymore. It's been played out for so long in so many different ways, this conflict with the parents since the beginning, that I'm really tired of it. I'm bored. And I think that if Jenny and Sumit go on another 90-day show, which I'm sure they will,
Don't even. I
this
mean,
will be a low point for the franchise. Move on from Jenny and Sumit. If they can't afford their own goddamn apartment after all the money that TLC has paid them for the zillions of appearances that they've had on this show, then there is no hope.
there is no hope. And I find it really disappointing because you know how much I really enjoyed them in
Mhm.
the earlier seasons. But now it's like it's tired.
Very.
It's the same issue over and over again. Submit, I'm gonna say it, needs to get off the teat or they're done. I think it's that simple. But I
Yeah.
also wanted to say that Sadna, despite looking incredibly miserable, looked fantastic. Minus her face. It was like she couldn't even come on with any kind of positive energy. It was like she was so miserable. She didn't want to be there. Her outfit was amazing. I thought it was great.
Think, because I noticed the same thing. Both the parents looked like they were in a coma. I think it was just the time difference because it was probably something like 1 a.m. in India at the time that they were filming in New York. So
That's right.
them having to get up in the middle of the night to do this, I'm sure is very disruptive. That's what I attributed it to because they both seemed like they were very much struggling.
Zombie, like, if you
Mhm.
will. But again,
Precisely.
his dad spoke and he doesn't normally. So it was interesting that he would pipe up if given the time difference, given how insanely tired he must have been. My last thought was when Sean said, "Hopefully we'll see you again soon." Is that foreshadowing?
I do not want to speculate on that. I think I've made myself clear. I don't care to see them anymore.
I agree. Okay, right.
So we go back to Chloe and Jonathan very briefly at the end of the show, which was a complete setup. I was not happy with the way that they did this because it seemed like they were completely manipulating Chloe's feelings by setting up this scenario where perhaps there was a chance that she and Johnny could get back together. How did he feel about that? How did she feel about that? He seemed to be leading into it and making it apparent that he is open to the idea. So her feelings start going in one direction.
He was inviting her.
And then they drop the bomb on her that he's having a baby with his ex-girlfriend, who's now his current girlfriend again, which is just awful. I was so disturbed by the way that they did that to her. I felt it was a really low blow. It's a horrible tactic. Just announce that he's having a baby and let him spill his beans. Don't put her through this meat grinder of emotion first.
And I don't know if this is a spoiler or not, but like apparently this is his 7th kid.
Yeah, there was that one point when Luke asked him, "Is this your first?" But he didn't answer because somebody else asked another question and then that question took over. And I was really hoping that he was going to go back to that and say, "Yes, I already have quite a few children, actually." Yeah.
Okay, Rick. And then Luke's comment, okay, this is the one that actually made me laugh out loud was, "Are you
Mhm.
gonna," because he said he was having a girl, and then Luke
Yeah.
says, "Are you gonna name her Chloe?"
Cute.
Luke has a sense of humor. I
He
appreciated
does.
that. But then he starts talking about, how, he's possibly going to marry this woman. And like Chloe completely breaks down. And I felt so bad for her. Like I've been shitting on her all season. But in the tell all, like she really shows so much personality and vulnerability. And, we were both fooled by Johnny. So
Mhm.
I can definitely understand how she was fooled by him. And this must have been so incredibly painful for her because her reaction was so genuine.
Yeah.
She didn't have any idea. And
Mm-mm.
especially because they started it with him like, "Come back to me, Chloe. Come
I
back
know.
to me."
Like the producers knew. The producers knew, and they had all this information, and they set her up.
I really felt bad. And then he goes on about like the sexual tension that he has with her. And it's like, okay, so it's all about the sex.
Great.
Is it not like that with all of the other people that you have procreated with? Like,
Mhm.
can you not be honest? No, he's just so manipulative and uses his charisma to loop women in. He's so gross. And I'm the first person to say, oh, I was wrong about him. I was
Let's
wrong.
wrap it up with a final comment, if you have one, for this season.
Very short. Did you notice that Greta stole the cookies?
Mhm.
I
Good for
love that
her.
for her. Yeah.
Mhm. Why
I
not?
mean, they were free. They were probably just
Take it.
like, yeah, good for her. That was my last comment.
I'm glad that she's happy. I'm glad that Chloe's happy. I hope that Luke stays single and that he's happy. And the rest of them, yeah, I don't care.
I think that this was like an incredible redemption arc for Chloe because she came on, she was
Yeah.
so immature, she was so entitled. And
Mhm.
then she comes out, I don't want to say unscathed because obviously she was very hurt by the information that she received, but I'm grateful that she got out of it. And she seems to be so much more self-aware. So I was really glad to see that positive
Mhm.
side of her.
Yeah. Yeah.
So good for you, Chloe.
On that note, before we go, if you're enjoying the 90 Day Fiancé Honestly podcast, please subscribe to or give our show a follow. And if you have an additional moment, please rate us and help other 90 Day fans to find our show. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, everyone.
See you next week.